What is up, everybody? Welcome to the best corner of the worst community in all of the internet, that being the MMA community, and that being the Blue Corner podcast. Today, we are joined, as always, by Hendrix.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da. What's good, everyone? How y'all doing?
And by Emma Bloody Porter.
Yeah. I should be asleep, but here I am.
Fantastic. We just got done watching a not boring masterclass by Leon Edwards against Colby Covington. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. This is truly what euphoria feels like. In all seriousness, how do you feel about specifically just this fight? Do you think that it was boring? Do you have any critiques for Leon? Is there anything to even critique about Colby Covington's performance? What do you think, Hendrix?
Well, first off, it was not boring. That was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. I was laughing the whole time, but I think I don't see how people are putting the blame on Leon. Like, I get it. Maybe he didn't rush in enough, but like, you really have to put yourself in his scenario. He was training all camp for pressure, and then Colby goes out there and stands there frozen in a statue. And like Leon even admitted to himself, like he admitted afterwards, he's like, yeah, I would pressure him. And I was kind of like psyching myself out, expecting him to move forward, but he just didn't do it. So it's like, it takes two to tango. And Colby Covington, I mean, he was playing defense the whole fight. He was playing possum, except he never did anything. And I believe Leon's style is breaking people down. He's never been a knockout guy. He breaks people down as fights go on. He makes reads on you. And it's really hard to make reads on someone when they're not giving you anything to work with.
Yeah, that's fair. What about you, Emma?
So I am a little bit disappointed in Leon just because I feel like this was his moment to like kind of shut people up because people have always called him a boring fighter, and I'm like, babes, headshot dead. Look at me now. Because people again, like people, wait, am I allowed to curse on this?
Yeah.
Sweet. Because people piss me off and really get on my fucking nerves when they're like, he got unlucky. Okay, you go do it then. You go, like, it was thought out. He was desperate. Like we were, like DC writing his obituary. He did the thing. He knew he had to do a thing, and he did headshot dead, right? But with all of the like build up and kind of all the controversy with Colby, I just really wanted Leon to break his jaw. But just from a personal perspective, I think Leon has never been, like Hendrix said, the knockout artist. He just hasn't. He wears people down. Great. Colby got under my skin with his comments this week. So I was like, just break his fucking jaw, man. And he didn't, but he retained. Emma's a happy bunny. Wasn't the most amazing event and pay-per-view to stay up for till 6 a.m. Alas, here we are. The woes of a European fan.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. My point of view on this is that like I don't really fault Leon specifically because a couple things. The first thing is that was the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to anybody from Colby Covington's perspective. So like had he knocked Colby Covington out in like the second or third, it would have been far less embarrassing, if I'm being honest, because it would have been like, well, Leon's just that good as it turns out. But he gave Colby and like opportunity upon opportunity, and he failed and failed and failed. And now there's no real recovering for that. Like all of the Colby fans are turning on him right now, saying like, you had one shot, we repped you, I bet my life savings on you, and then you go out there and you do absolutely nothing. Why'd you bring Trump out just to do nothing in front of him? Like, what happened? Like, what are you doing? And there's nothing he can really say and nothing that anybody's going to buy. And so from one perspective, that's the best thing that he could have done to screw over Colby Covington. But again, it's like what Hendrix was saying, where it's like, Leon did what he had to do. And number one, the worst thing that could have happened is for Leon to lose. So anything that makes him win with 100% certainty, I'm fine with. You know, if I know there's like a 1 in a million chance that he does something sloppy, Colby takes his back, or he does something sloppy and he gets head kicked by Colby with his little like weird like duck down thing. That's exactly what it looks like. It's, you know, like if the 1 in a million chance, I would rather it just be 0, you know. And I think that he did that and he secured the win. There was no shot that he was ever going to lose that fight with that game plan. And so I'm not that worried about it. And, you know, he had a little sauce in there. Took Colby down twice out of 3 times. Colby took him down twice out of like 13 or something like that. Like he, you know, he styled on him in all aspects of fighting. And I will be the first to say that, like, even though I don't like Colby, you know, that wasn't Colby in there. Like, that was like weird, you know, but I also feel like Colby needs to have like deniability. And whenever he got finished by Kamaru, he still had deniability because he was like, that was kind of an early stoppage. Whenever he has a close fight with Kamaru, then he can say, well, I think I won. And he wanted to wait until the end so that he can say, well, I kind of won. If he would have got finished and knocked out, then it's definitive. And he wants like the deniability to make sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. I just had a personal vendetta against Colby over the weekend. That was all. I'm entirely petty. None of my predictions ever make sense. They're entirely based on nothing but emotions. As I'm a woman, obviously. But yeah, sucks to be Colby fans. But also, actually, you make a really good point. They are all very quiet this week. They're all so quiet, and I love that so much because they were so loud, yapping and yapping about how wonderful Colby is. And what did your boy do? Precisely nothing. Good for you guys. Good for you.
And my favorite part of the fight is I think you can tell when Leon realizes Colby's not going to do anything because Leon just has this moment where he's like, you know what? You're not going to do anything. I'm just going to be a dickhead. And he kept taking him down. Like Leon, everyone thinks he's just a striker. But to me, Leon's always been almost like an Alexander Gustafsson. He's a good striker, very technical striker. But for some reason, there's this part of his brain that's just a dickhead and loves to grapple with the best grapplers in the division. Like Gunnar Nelson, RDA, Nate Diaz, Kamaru, and Colby all got offensively grappled by Leon Edwards. Does he have to? No. He can comfortably beat them on the feet and deny takedowns. He just wants to. I don't know why he wants to. He's like that, I guess.
Yeah. And it's just, I think that I don't know. I think that it also plays a role that we watch a lot of MMA, and we've seen this happen a lot to the point where we're kind of able to see that a boring fight or like a low level fight isn't just not a lot of volume happens, you know? Because we're like, yeah, not a lot of volume happened, but he didn't really need to. He didn't really need to go in there and do anything crazy. Like, I do feel like if you take the you know, whatever your boring fight is, whether it be Izzy Romero or Carla versus Rose or whatever, and one of them was clearly the one making it boring, then all of the ire would be directed at the person making it boring, you know? And that's kind of what we saw here. Nobody's like, people are kind of like, ah, Leon, you should have finished him. They're not like, Leon, you made this fight boring.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, we were talking about that the other day, myself and Rory, and we were saying that, like, we just wish that Leon had just done that a little bit more because people are just like always kind of shitting on him and dumping on him, like, oh, you're so boring, oh, you're this. Bro, he has a belt. Can't be that bad. Like, let's
wait, how are you talking to Rory?
Wait, I'm confused.
You were talking to him on what?
On the pod.
What's the pod called?
It is called Across the Pond MMA Podcast. I am so glad you asked.
What if somebody wanted to find it, what would they do?
Well, they can find us on all social media. They can find us on YouTube. They can find us on Spotify, and they can find us here on TikTok, because I'm going to be putting some stuff on TikTok too. Yeah, they can
This
find us pretty
here
much
is
everywhere.
YouTube, but yeah, okay.
My bad.
You're
I'm
good.
too used to saying here because we pretty much dominate TikTok at the moment. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's where you can find us. But I think me and Rory were just kind of saying that, like, we feel like this was Leon's moment, almost like he's American Idol moment. To really like stop a lot of people being like, you're so boring. But he just outclassed Colby, and it was his fight. It wasn't Leon versus Colby. It was Leon's fight. He controlled everything. I just, like I said, I just hated the comments this week and the bullshit of like hiding behind everything character. I don't care. It's this. I hate that attitude of like, oh, sorry, I was in character. I said horrible things. That's not an okay thing to do because you're in character. But alas, I could talk about that forever. But yeah, I just wish Colby, yeah, did have a broken jaw, but that's just personal preference. I thought Leon did all right. I think he did a bang up job because he still has the belt.
Let's talk. Let's dive into the toxicity thing, because we had one of the most toxic weekends
Yes.
of in terms of the fighters themselves, like ever. And when I want to talk about playing a character for a second,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like if I was like, let's say I'm a really good person
Yeah.
and I want to play a character and talk all kinds of smack to Hendrix. I'm be like, quiet, you're a little kid. Quiet, you like Benil Dariush and he got knocked out. Right?
Yeah.
Sound like
But at deep down, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do something insane. Like I'm not going to like mention, like really personal stuff, and because I am actually a good person behind the character,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to. And people bring up this like 20-second clip of Colby Covington being cool to one of his fans, and they're like, see, he's actually nice. And anybody can be nice for 20 seconds. Anyone can be nice to somebody they're not going to have to be around for a long time, especially a fan who immediately idolizes you.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody that actually knows him says he's a bad person. So I think he's a bad person who has one mask on that's trying to be like pretend like he's a nice person, and then another mask on top of the pretending to be a nice person, reinstating himself as an
Yeah.
asshole. So it's like he's an asshole that's pretending to be a good person that's pretending to be an asshole.
Yeah. It's like the 7 layers of Colby
Mm-hmm.
Covington.
Of hair.
Yeah, that made me giggle so much. Yeah, I for a long time I just thought he was a silly little boy who probably was quite nice, and then was about shit. I need to do something drastic with my career. I'm probably gonna get cut. Let me love Donald Trump, which was a strange move, but sure. To then, yeah, actually, like now that you've said it like that, guy, it makes so much sense to me. He probably is an asshole. I thought that he'd been like infected by the mask almost, but actually no, I think he's just an asshole, because to go to those depths, like you said, like, you guys can cuss me out because I'm so tall, and I'm like, oh, you got me. Oh, I'm so hurt. But then, like, you could get really deep and personal with all sorts of things, which I won't divulge on the pod, but I'll tell you privately, and then you can just cuss me out in the comments or some shit. I don't mind. But like, there's so much that you could go so personal, and again, I was saying to Rory, I don't care. Like, bringing up all of like Leon's dad's past, what's that got to do with anything? It should never have been brought up in the first place. And I can't remember how old Leon was when he lost his dad. I want to say it was like 5 or 6. So like very little. In Leon's mind, despite what the internet want to bring up, that's still his dad, and his dad's probably his hero, and he probably idolizes his dad. Why do you need to bring it up? Like, don't crap on the memory of deceased people, like deceased family members. Like, you just don't need it. And equally, I hate it when people bring people's wives or girlfriends or children into the sport, and people are like, it's the fight game, it's how it's got to go. Cuss him out, cuss the guy you're fighting out, absolutely rip him to shreds. But I don't know why the community, and like including fighters and fans, have to just accept the bile and the toxicity. Like I don't know when it was just fine to be a piece of shit and it'd be like, but I'm a fighter. Yeah, do it with these. I don't get it. I'm just so baffled. Sorry, I've gone on such a long rant there, but like he's just really pissed me off, and the fans have equally pissed me off for just being like, it's okay, they're fighters. No, it's not okay.
Yeah, and man, I'm in that same. I was in the same boat with you. Like, I did want Colby to get knocked out more than anything on the earth. I've always hated this guy. Like, the whole, it's just a character, guys. It's always been the laziest excuse, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because he's always bringing up dads. He's bringing up families. Like, this isn't even the first time he brought up someone's dad. He brought up Kamaru's dad, who was in prison. Like,
Oh yeah.
he's not afraid to cross these lines, and that shows that he doesn't have a sense of morality. Like,
Mm-mm.
a decent human being who plays a character won't do that. And I'll give you an example. Chael Sonnen. Everyone compares him to Chael Sonnen. Here's the difference. Chael never brought up families. Chael never brought up dead relatives. Chael never crossed that line. Chael was creative in his trash talk, and he insulted you. You, the person he was fighting. He never crossed any of those personal live lines. And Colby, he has to, because he's not a creative trash talker and he's not a person with a moral code, I guess. I don't know. And like, I'm gonna be with you, man. I've lost people. And if Colby brought that up while I was fighting him, I wouldn't have thrown that water bottle. I'm throwing that fucking chair at him. So props to Leon. Props to Leon, man, for the restraint. Because I hearing him talk about it after the fight in the post fight interview where like he went backstage and cried and called his mom. Like, I it sickens me. People bring up, oh, but his dad was a criminal. His dad was this. It's like, how does that affect Leon? It's Leon's dad at the end of the day. And if he's crying to the point where he has to call his mom just to call him, calm him down, that obviously doesn't make a difference to Leon. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and like the guy's dead. Like, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
And I hate the character thing, and I think finally, after all this time, it's finally being exposed for what it is. And I think even his fans are having a hard time defending it, especially after his post-fight interview, where he just made a complete embarrassment of himself, where he's like, I don't got a single scratch on me, as his nose is bleeding. Like, easiest fight of my life, gets 49-46 unanimously. It's like, I don't know. I I hate the excuses. I hate that it's deemed okay to cross those kinds of lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that we people got to be like, "Oh, this is the fight game, so we can't just be decent human beings."
Yeah, I agree. And then him calling Wonderboy a pedophile. That was weird.
Yeah, I didn't take as much offense to that because it was so dumb, if that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah, of
Like
course.
it was so far from truth that it was just like you might as well have said he's a unicorn. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it's
like
not personal because it's like you just pulled that out of nowhere. But it's
yeah, like
so
I
funny
haven't
that he
taken
wants to fight him
offense.
now, by the
Yeah.
way.
Bro,
Like I definitely haven't taken offense, but I was like, what is this guy doing? Like it feels like he's about to like have a breakdown or something. Like that pedophile comment. I was like, what is happening? And like Hendrix said, oh, I'm unscathed. Sure you are, Colby. Sure you are. Yeah. That's exactly what it is that is happening to your nose. You not a scratch on you. But yeah, like, I
Walking
just
out
feel like this
with a bag of ice on both
yeah,
legs, stiffened legs, looking like a Minecraft character, just walking out this.
honestly.
So
But
great, man.
yeah, unscathed.
and
Yeah.
on like a psychology, it's like a psychology level, like honestly, when I listen to Colby in that press conference, obviously he's always never been afraid to cross those lines, like we've said.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, he's never went that far with it before. Like, he's never been like, "Oh, you're dead relative. Oh, you're a pedophile." Even though I will say that one was so ridiculous that it's almost hard to even take seriously.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I think if you judge his performance and you look at the way he was talking, I truly believe that he was scared of Leon Edwards. Like, I truly, wholeheartedly believe he knew Leon had so many tools against him. He knew that his normal style played right into Leon's game because everyone talks about this nonstop pressure. Look at Leon's style. That plays right into his game. He loves letting people set paces on him. He loves counter striking you on entries. He loves denying takedowns so he can sprawl into dominant positions. Like Colby's normal style would probably have gotten him finished. I'm not going to lie to you. And you saw those glimpses where he would pressure, and Leon was so much faster than him, and he clipped him every single time. And it's like, it's not an excuse, of course, because fuck Colby, but on a fundamental level, I truly believe Colby was afraid of Leon and tried to do anything he could to get an advantage over him.
Yeah. And the toxicity didn't stop there. We had a lot of weird stuff. And this is just it's just embarrassing right now. I think about if you like say your friend was over and you had the press conference on and they're not a fan of MMA or something like that. And then you saw that press conference where the only thing they're saying to each other is weird, uncomfy stuff. It's like they show up, and I'm talking about the 299 or not 299, but the next year press conference, the one that had like Strickland, Duplessis, all that kind of stuff. It's just like they show up, they sit down, and like the first thing is Sean Strickland's like, "Hey, Sean O'Malley, you watch people have sex with your wife," and then like he goes, "Well, at least my dad didn't," and then I'm like, "Okay, this is weird." And then Cheeto also says the same thing to Sean O'Malley, and then Sean Strickland starts hurling homophobic slurs at Drickus, and then Drickus starts talking about child. I'm like, this is embarrassing. This is immediately swung from every once in a while somebody says something that is a little bit edgy to everyone's up there saying weird, gross, embarrassing, like not even talking about like the morality of it, like you shouldn't go there. It was just weird. It was uncomfortable. I don't care. I don't think that I'm trying to watch a fight. Why do I care about what Sean O'Malley does with his wife or with other people or whatever? Like, I'm just, that's all it is now. Like, this is weird,
And
Definitely. It's super weird.
the most awkward part of that whole thing was you saw Volkanovski just sitting there like, for this to end, god damn.
I think I really enjoy the pictures of the scuffle at 296, and you just see Volk just like sort of from like nose up because he's on a chair because he literally can't see anything because he's so damn small. But yeah, Volk's just sitting there like, cool. Okay, I'm not gonna even engage because I'm frightened, because I would be like, they just seem so unhinged. And like, yes, they're all professional fighters and Volk could definitely handle himself, but I'm there like, I don't want to put any part of this. Like, I'm good. You lot do what you're doing. I'm gonna sit here and g'day, mate. Because like, forget the morality, like Guy said. It's just I would not show anyone this.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. It's cool because I like how Volk kind of treats fighting as if he's just like almost like making music, or he's a tennis player or anything else. He's like, I'm going there, I'm gonna compete, I'm gonna beat everybody else. And then like he just does. He doesn't, because like Sean Strickland very much it's about like fighting and like asserting your dominance on someone and stuff like that, as opposed to like it being like a sport or what your job is,
Yeah.
And some people are way the other way, where they feel like they're just clocking in. And it really feels like Volk just feels like he's clocking in. And that's I get drawn to those fighters like a lot of times, especially whenever they're like, no, I'm a showman. I go out there for a show, like Bobby Green. I love Bobby Green because he's like, the way that he puts on a show is he goes out there and he may talk smack if they want to talk smack back. If you go back and watch the Tony press conference, he was like, shut up, Tony, before you trip over a cord. And Tony was like, And he was like, oh, okay, Tony's not doing this. Okay. And then stopped. And then like he goes and he has a cool walkout. He spits water everywhere. He tries to make the fight exciting and then doesn't talk smack and then goes home. it's like that's how you're entertaining, and that's so cool. Like I love that. And then
Yeah.
I don't know. And then some people are Colby or Sean Strickland.
Hey, how badly did Colby Covington have to mess up if even Alexander Volkanovski on an interview was calling him a piece of shit? That's crazy.
Yeah.
How badly you have to mess up for Volk to do that.
100%.
Yeah.
Like I saw the video of him with Leon and he was like, yeah, go mess that piece of shit up. And I was like, fuck yeah. It's like my two favorite fighters. But yeah, I agree. It's like Volk is just getting like is doing his 9 to 5, much like me. I turn up to work, do my shit, go home. Don't think about it anymore. Well, Volk does, but you know, that's a conversation for another day. But like he just turns up to work, does it, goes home, chills with the family. But then these other guys, it's like, I will be the biggest alpha male in the room and I must prove it. And it's like, oh my God, you're already very alpha by having this career. Like it's pretty intense already. And that, but yet they're still determined to be like, no, I have the biggest penis in the room. No, it's me. It's not you. Like you don't need to do that. Like be a Volk, be a Taito Uvasa. Because like they've both been in that situation before where they've both just sat between people and like, cool. So this is happening. Like I 100% agree with you, guy. Like I'm definitely more drawn to the fighters that just clock in, clock out, and say some silly stuff on social media. Obviously not to this level, but like I quite like cooking with Volk because it's so weird. He's a fighter. It's like seeing your teacher outside of school. It's so weird. But yeah, like he does some silly stuff on social media, harms nobody basically, and then it's just vibing. But these other guys are just determined to be alpha, and I think the internet love it. I think the internet want to enjoy all these alphas having their alpha moment, but frankly, it just embarrasses the fans and the sport, I think.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm mostly drawn to fighters who are just chill human beings because like a lot of people they'll be like, "Oh, Leon's personality, he's so boring. Benil's personality, he's so boring." And then they'll be like, "Colby Covington, now that's entertainment." I'm like, "Bro, I don't I feel awkward watching Sean Strickland. I feel awkward watching Colby. Like I'm not entertained. I almost just feel pity for these guys for whatever reason. Like I feel like I have to feel bad for them. But like with Leon, Benil, and all my other fighters, I could go on a whole tangent on that. Like they're just chill human beings. If they'll say things every now and again, like Leon, he's not afraid to like make a joke every now and again, but like he's never gonna go out of his way to trash talk people. And
Yeah.
it's like, God forbid that MMA fighters are decent human beings. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But in terms of Leon's fighting ability,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, so the odds open today, him versus Shavkat, are dead even. They're both minus 110. And I think that might be a like bet your house kind of situation on old Leon. Because he's so incredibly proven, you know? I mean, if I told you 5 years ago somebody is going to show up and knock Kamaru Usman out and then beat him by a decision, and then he's going to beat Colby Covington, 49-46, maybe 50-45, you would be like, oh, like who would ever beat him, and like regardless of like how the fights played out, I mean, that's an absurd resume already. People are always quick to point out like like the little the chinks in the armor of Shavkat's defense and stuff like that. And Bilal, we already kind of saw that. I don't think that anybody should be even with Leon. Like it's not about Shavkat. I don't think anybody should be even.
I agree. I think Leon Edwards, and this is gonna get a lot of people happy, but like I believe skill for skill is easily not easily, but you get what I mean. He's the best welterweight on the planet. I'm not just talking UFC. We can bring one. We can do PFL. We can do any other MMA organization. Skill for skill, Leon Edwards is the best in the world at this moment. And I believe if there's going to be a fighter who's going to pass GSP in the welterweight division, this is the guy. And I don't know why. it almost seems fitting that the guy I think is going to pass GSP is getting all this hate, getting called boring. Because as much as people want to forget that, that's what people were saying about George during his title reign. He was, oh, this guy's boring. He's a decision merchant, even though he's whooping people's asses. It's like, this guy sucks. He's boring. I hate this guy. Johnny Hendrix is gonna beat him. Nick is gonna beat him. Josh Koscheck's gonna beat him. Blah blah blah. And it's like everyone wants to hate on these great fighters until they're gone. It is honestly one of the most depressing things ever. And I think we need to give Leon his flowers while he's still here because when I look at Leon, when I look on this 13 fight unbeaten streak and the names he's been able to rack up in that time, like regardless of what you think of his style or his personality, you can't deny that. It is insane. And I don't know what people don't see in him, but honestly, wholeheartedly, I think this guy's gonna be champion for a long time.
Damn, you said a lot, and I agree with all of it. I think there's two reasons why people hate on Leon as much as they do. One, being that he's British, that he's
Valid.
an Englishman, because how dare we come over there and take a belt? How dare we? And also, I think because he's not a knockout artist, and I think the fans that were brought in by the likes of Conor just want pure violence. I love a bit of violence, don't get me wrong. I love a good knockout. I don't like Michael Chandler knocking out Tony Ferguson. That made me cry. However, I do just, I'm partial to a knockout. But then equally, I really love the skill of Leon Edwards. And like you say, people are so quick to call him boring. Sorry, how were people talking about Kamaru Usman when he had the belt? Greatest of all time. He's so amazing. He's going to be up there. And sorry, just remind me, who's beat him twice? Oh my God, that would be Leon Edwards. Just because he's British and because he's not a knockout artist, people are like, boring. People need to give him his flowers now. And yeah, but we know why that they won't, because he's boring and he's English. So he's never going to get his flowers until he's gone. I don't mean like deceased. I mean like retired.
Maybe.
Oh my God, I'd say
be
that.
90 years old. Just like
he's so old.
Yeah. But yeah, I think another reason is because like people see him as like soy or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like he's kind of like he's always like smiling and stuff like that, and he's kind of like he doesn't like peacock everywhere, like he's the least intimidating person to face off with, unless maybe for Colby it's a little bit different, but like Kamaru, he was like looking at the camera and looking around, and before he fights he's kind of like it's just it, and so people are like, that's not like masculine, that's not a word, so maybe that's a part of it. But
yeah, I think it is. And I think the most intense we ever saw him, or I felt it, was when it was the ceremonial weigh-ins for the third fight, and he was like on it. It's the most masculine, I guess, I've ever seen him. But yeah, generally he's just like, yeah, I'm here, this is fun, I'm enjoying myself, like this. But yeah, there's so many reasons people don't like Leon, and I don't think many people are going to change their minds anytime soon. I'd love to convince people to convert to the Church of Leon Edwards, but alas, I'm not that powerful.
Also, one thing that I've been thinking about that is, realistically horrifying to everybody in the welterweight division is, what is his weakness? Because let's start with the mental, right? How do you attack him mentally? Do you make him give up? Oh, no, because he was fighting the number one pound for pound fighter on the planet, and he was losing, and he had 1 minute left, and he didn't give up on himself. That is like the deepest you can possibly get. He is never going to doubt himself again, period. Even if this fight was, if there was 1 minute left in this fight and Colby was dominating him, the odds should be even. Like, what, you know what I mean? He's never going to give up on himself. It's like, oh, we'll just get in his head and make him mad. Well, he just cried backstage. He cried out of pure like rage because he said like the one thing that really gets him there, and then he went out there and produced a masterclass. So what is his weakness?
once he actually got to the cage, he was so composed. So yes, he had the little cry, which I still don't think is the sign of weakness. I think it was just so much rage of like, you've gone there, you've pushed that button. But as soon as he got to that cage, boy, was he composed. So like, yeah, like you say, what is it? Because it's definitely not mental.
Mm-hmm.
And all those people who I saw being like, oh, how is he going to handle this in the cage? Oh, is it going to affect his performance? It's like either A, they're Colby fans and they're coping for any reason they can get for Leon to lose, or B, they probably have never seen that many Leon Edwards fights
Yeah.
because one thing I've noticed about Leon throughout his career is it's so weird. He can come out like take the third Kamaru fight, for example. He's coming out, the English crowd screaming. He's like, let's go! All smiles, happy. And as soon as the cage door locks, it's like a switch where he's looking like Alex Pereira staring into the abyss. And it's terrifying. Like, you can't ever get a read on his emotions whenever the cage door locks because he just has this switch where no matter how he's feeling beforehand, he just gets into with a zone where it's like, that's all in the past. We're in the fight right now, and I'm in the zone. And it's just weird. I don't, he's almost like a robot in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's quite cool if I'm being honest. Because yeah, that third fight, he was like absolutely hyped. Like he was vibing to his music and he was like thriving off the crowd. And then as you say, that door's shut and it's like, oh, we're not vibing anymore. Kind of scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, and arguably then, okay, oh, but what about pressure? Well, everyone said that about Usman and everyone said that about Colby. So again, it's not pressure that he can't handle because everyone in the build up, especially to the Colby fight, oh, but like Colby's pressure's so intense. Is it? Because he didn't bring it. I think he forgot to pack or something because there was no pressure from Colby at the weekend. So next.
Yeah. Do you want to take him down?
Yeah.
Well, good luck. I mean, it's very, very
Enjoy.
difficult, and you might not even want to be on the ground. He almost just slid onto Colby's back, by the way, from guard. He almost just kind of slurped himself like an octopus onto Colby's back. It was really close. He almost got him in a ninja choke. He almost got him in two different triangles. It's just, and then like, these are all the, obviously, we don't even have to get into kickboxing. It's just like, I don't know. What are you going to exploit?
Yeah.
I think there was one weakness he had for a while, and it was more on the mental side. And I believe it was coasting was his problem for a long time. We saw it with Brian Barberena, even Gunnar Nelson. We saw it with Diaz, and even the second Kamaru fight. He had a weird thing where after a certain amount of time, whether he was winning or he was losing, he just began to coast it out and he stopped being active. Because even you could hear the commentators talking about it in the second Kamaru fight when he was actually like getting active, throwing the body kicks, like he was messing Kamaru up,
Yeah.
but he kind of stopped. But now that is done because in the third Kamaru fight, all of a sudden he's like, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. And he's just in Kamaru's, well, not in Kamaru's face, but like he's working the entire fight and he's not giving up the entire fight. And then with Colby, he's basically doing it the entire fight until Colby's on top and there's a minute left. And he's like, you know what? I'll let you have this one, Junior. I'll just hold you here. It's like
Yeah.
if you're a welterweight and people don't find him like I noticed this. People who are nice and who are calm, chill, like they don't get perceived as like scary, even when their skills probably warrant that. And
Yeah.
Leon is one of those guys who's like, if you're a welterweight, what are you gonna do? Because there's not really anything. He can out grapple the best grapplers. He can beat the crap out of the best strikers in the division. He can basically do anything he wants to, and that's the scariest thing you can view in a fighter. But because he's all happy and chill, and he's not Colby Covington trying to make jokes about others' relatives, it's like He's not ever going to be perceived as that.
Yeah, until they force to
Definitely.
recognize it. If he defends it like 2, 3 more times, then people are going to be forced to recognize it. Period. It's the same thing with GSP. It's just he just sits there and he's like, I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to beat this guy next, and then he does, and then it's like, oh, but he's just kind of chilling. Like he's not like talking smack to everybody. He's just really like relaxed. But I think that we have thoroughly like we have many coats of glaze on Leon Edwards. Um, to me, Brandon Royval and Alexander Pantoja was like I kind of figured that was gonna happen, and then it just kind of happened, and like whatever. I've said it from before. Like, I mean, I really like Royval, but I just I think that the reason that they got this shot was because they needed to have a fight that didn't have Brandon Moreno in it and didn't have Figgy in it. They just needed a fight that didn't have either one of them in it because
Yeah.
it was just like 4 or 5 in a row of just like Brandon Moreno Figgy, Brandon Moreno Figgy, Brandon Moreno Figgy, Brandon Moreno Figgy, and then Brandon Moreno Pantoja. They're not gonna do Brandon Moreno Pantoja again. It's
Yeah.
just, they want to kind of move on a little bit. And so they give him just somebody, and then he goes in there and he beats him because the dude, isn't quite good enough of a grappler to deal with Pantoja. And that's just kind of it. Like I'm not really I have nothing to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt like in the build up. I was like, this fight just does nothing for me. Like the way, like all the other fights I had an opinion on, and that I was just like, yeah, sure, that's happening, and it's 100 like yeah, me and my boyfriend were talking about it. It's because they didn't want another bloody fight that involved either of those two. That's literally it. And yeah, like you said, I like Raval as well, but yeah, that actually made me so sleepy for the main event. I was like, no, we have come on, like doing the little slappy slappies, like, come on, wake up, wake up, wake up. Because I was just like, I kind of knew this was coming, but yeah, it did kind of bum me out a little bit. It did kill the vibe because I was just like, okay, fair enough. On to the next, I guess. Like, congratulations, Pantoja, but did nothing for me.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure the odds were very, very close. If I remember, maybe not that close, but they were closer than I expected. And I was like, really? Because like, look at the performances that earned Royval the shot. Well, quote unquote earned, we'll say. Um, One was Matt Schnell, and if you watch that fight, yeah, he submitted him pretty quickly, but is it really that impressive of a performance? I mean, he got knocked down and was getting controlled until he jumped on a lucky guillotine. And you think you're gonna do that to Pantoja, the guy with one of the best chins in the division and probably the best grappling in the division by far? It's like, nah, it's not happening. And I didn't really see this as an overly competitive fight. Of course, Royval's good. I didn't think he was going to get completely dog walked, but I didn't expect him to have many paths to victory against Pantoja. But in terms of what I got out of the fight, like in the build-up, I was kind of just happy because I thought Pantoja was going to get a good win, and maybe people would finally start being a little nicer to him because if you actually like listen to him, he's one of like the nicest guys in that division. It's just he beat Brandon Moreno, so everyone's gonna hate him because of that alone. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very pro Moreno when they fought. I really wanted Moreno to win, defend the belt, and sail into the suns and everything. But as soon as Pantoja did that little post-fight interview with his family in the cage, like, "Are you proud of me, Dad? Are you proud of me?" And I'm like, okay, I love this guy now. I'm rooting for him for the rest of my life. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny because like I was mad at him for beating Marino, and then he's like, my dad left. Are you proud of me now? And I was like, that was cool. Man, I can't stay mad at you. And then this time he goes out there and it's like relatively boring. And he goes, yeah, I'm sorry it was boring, but I need to keep the belt because like it's money for like my family. And I'm like, man, I can't be mad at you again. Like you always
He
like
knows how to
he's
get
just
at us.
yeah, I guess. But look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't have anything to say about Wonder Boy. Like, just yeah, that was gonna happen. It's cool that that happened while Shavkat's ankle was injured. Like, good job, Shavkat. And
Yeah.
that's cool. The whatever. Tony lost again. He should retire. We've been saying this over and over again. It just, and I haven't been saying this until just now, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Like, when he fought Bobby Green, I was like, yeah, he looks like he can't react to stuff, but it's Bobby Green. You're not gonna be able to. But at the end of the day, like, Tony now just kind of sits in guard. And I don't know if he can't or doesn't want to get out. But if you take him down, you're just gonna win the round. And he also can't see punches coming. He just can't do that anymore. He can't see punches coming and he can't react to them. He has he gets hit and he like really reacts because he never in a million years saw it coming and he can't like set up counters and stuff like that. And so it's just, there's not much to really work with here unless he fights like, just somebody that's on like street beefs. And like, I just don't even necessarily think that I would enjoy watching that.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people bring up the chin for his downfall and his toughness or whatever. But like, I never thought it was that because I mean, his chin, his toughness, it's still there. Honestly, that might be to his own detriment because he's just too tough for his own good. But I think it is reaction timing is his biggest problem because if you watch the fights in his prime, his style was heavily relied on counter striking and seeing punches coming before they landed. Like, of course, a lot of his fights where you throw a few punches, I can take them. I throw a few punches, you can't take them. But also at the same time, like the Edson Barboza fight, he was slipping. Edson Barboza countering him at any chance he got. Like he had so much speed with it when he did it, and it was very beautiful. Like of course it was unorthodox, but like there was almost method to the madness type thing, and that's what made it work. But now that he doesn't have the timing, he doesn't have the speed. There's no method to it anymore. It's just madness, and his body can't sustain it anymore. Like I've had the belief if he would have switched to a more orthodox style quicker on in this losing streak, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. But it's a little too late for all that. Yeah, it's just depressing.
Yeah, I agree. And it sounds like I'm being silly, but like, why David Goggins? Like, what did he do for you, Tony? Because like he put you through fucking hell. Cool,
Hair.
great. You funny. Um, but yeah, put him through hell, hair, and didn't necessarily improve anything from the last fight. And I think it was Joe that was saying it on the commentary team that night, where he was just like, I don't think this was Tony's smartest decision. And I'm like, yeah, babe, I could have told you that. And I'm a silly goose who knows nothing about the sport. Like, and then you've got David on the night being like, get up, Tony, get up. Cheers, Dave. Cheers, buddy. That was really good. Thank you for that advice. I will think of that next time I'm down. Thank you. Like, Jesus Christ, Tony. Like, I think it was really funny in the build up to have David Goggins, but it just seems like that was the only thing that he did in camp. It doesn't feel like he did anything else. And I've been saying it for a hot minute. I just wish he'd retire because I don't enjoy the downfalls of fighters. I like it when fighters are able to go, I think that's me done now. And then they either go out on a win or maybe a couple of losses, but like they've still got their pride and they're like, I'm gonna go teach the next generation of fighters. And I'm like, yeah, screaming, crying, all those things. But this, like, Tony, like at this point we are just flogging a dead horse, it feels. And I am obviously not the one in the cage, and I never will because I'm a wimp. But there has to come a point where Tony goes, yeah, maybe the CTE is getting a little bit too much. It just feels like it's like he is so desperate for that last win, but I don't think he can get it because he's going to keep coming up against all these younger, faster fighters. And I'm not saying that Paddy's that good because I kind of don't think he is, but he will continue to come up against all these kids basically compared to him that are just so much quicker, and he's never going to see any of the punches coming because he just doesn't. And I'm just not enjoying this downfall, and it's super depressing, and I just need him to retire for my sake, for my mental health. I think he should retire.
Man, is it bad that I almost was hoping that he didn't train at all with David, and it was just a joke about how David was going to carry the boat. Like that's what I was just that joke alone. But then he goes in that cage, and I'm like, oh, you really did focus this kid, David, didn't you? Like when he was yelling at Patty, like, no, there was no striking. It was all cardio. I thought he was being sarcastic. Nah, he was just giving his camp away. He was being honest.
100%. And it's just so sad. Like, again, I thought it was kind of like silly, goofy Tony, like Tony with his lizard. Thought they were bits. No, the David Gilligan one wasn't. And that was shown on Saturday.
That's so, yeah. I mean, I would have loved it if it was somebody that wasn't Tony, though. Like, that would have been so funny if it was like a winnable fight with some random person. Like, if it was like Michael Chandler versus like Conor McGregor, and like Chandler trained with David Goggins and was like, he yells at me and says to do more stuff. So I'm going to win this one because he routinely does that. And he's really good at yelling at me and telling me to do more exercise. And so, like, you know, that's, which is the complexity of David Goggins, by the way. And he just like, he's like, oh, this is going to work. This is going to work. And then just shows up with no camp. And he's like, dude, I'm telling you, all I need is for somebody to like really, really just motivate me. I think that's my problem, is I'm not motivated enough. But yeah, it's a metaphor for motivational speakers. Just who rah rah with no real solutions being shouted at you. You know?
Yeah. It's like telling a depressed person to just smile more. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, thank you for the advice. That's great. Don't think that solves the problem, but thank you ever so much for being here and participating. It's been wonderful. But to be fair, David Goggins shouting is like now my like favorite GIF and my favorite meme.
That's true as well. Yeah.
So swings and roundabouts.
Bryce Mitchell.
Good Lord.
He lost the fight.
Did he?
I thought he won. What the hell?
It was an early stoppage. I've been saying
was.
this. You got to let people. You got to let they're warriors. Okay, you got to let them. They want to fight to the bitter end.
Yeah.
I needed a Francis Ngannou hammer fist real quick. You know, really.
That was bad, man.
All my favorite things from Twitter were just people, why did Josh Emmett scream at Bryce's corpse? And I'm like, oh my God.
I ain't gonna lie.
It's just cold.
I feel almost weirdly responsible because the last 4 fights for Josh Emmett, I've been sleeping on him, I guess you could say. I pick against him, and, you know, Cater, decision he should have probably lost. Ilya gets dominated. Yair gets finished. We're all good. Then with Bryce Mitchell, I'm like, you know what? I think he's beating Bryce Mitchell. I think, and I have this video on my page where I say I think Josh is gonna knock out Bryce Mitchell, and then he does that, and I'm like, okay, maybe if I pick you more often, you'd be good at fighting.
This is all your fault.
It's entirely you.
I will represent Bryce Mitchell when he sues you.
You know what?
Because that is disgusting what you've done to him.
You know what? I think it's probably karma for getting a robbery over Dan Ige. You know what I'm saying? It's karma.
I skipped a fight, didn't I? There was one after. Am I losing my mind? There was what's the fight after?
What?
Wait.
Wasn't there a fight in between Tony and Josh Emmett? No, I'm tripping. No, that was it. Yeah, that was those 5. I was thinking of Vincente Luciani and Gary. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. But is we can get into the newly announced fights for 299. including Ian Gary
Yep.
versus Jeff Neal.
Hmm,
Just go ahead, Hendrix. Just go ahead.
All I'm gonna say is Jeff Neal has the eye of the flippin' tiger, and he's gonna knock that boy out. This was the destiny for so long. You know, Ian Gary, he's a runner, he's a track star. He tried to run away. He tried to go away from Jeff. He tried to get booked against old man Vicente Luque. He was like, "Oh, I'm safe now." But then the universe works in mysterious ways. That bitch ass gets pneumonia, and it pulls him out back right to Jeff Neal, because this is the destiny of Ian Gary, to lose, not only lose, but get brutalized by Jeff Neal. Because the fact is, Jeff Neal, most underrated welterweight on the planet, best boxer in the division. He's the only man to knock out Vicente Luque, the only man to knock out Mike Perry, and he's going to be the first man to beat and knock out Ian Gary.
Okay, so sorry, just confirm to me you like Ian Gary, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I'm his biggest fan.
Cool. Okay, I got that. That was totally the vibe I got from that.
Mm-hmm. Back when they tried to do Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary, my initial reaction, and I quote, was, "He's just a boy. Why would you do this to him? Why would you put him against this absolute boxing machine? Like, this is terrible. He's going to just like demolish him." And now, since then, I'm pretty sure that, if I'm not mistaken, D-Rod was after that. And so, there's a little bit more to work with here, but still, I still just don't. I think that's bad. Like, if I'm being honest, I think that, like, it's weird to offer Vicente Luque and then to say, well, never mind Jeff Neal. That's kind of like saying, like, hey, do you want to fight Paddy Pimblett? It's like, no, well, then go ahead, Islam Makhachev. You know what I mean? It's just it's a huge gap. Like, maybe not that big, but it's a huge gap, and I don't understand it.
Bro, and
No, I don't.
I'm sure Guy Vega remembers this, but for the few weeks that Jeff Neal and Ian Gary was official and was happening, me and Aaron made TikTok the biggest Jeff Neal fan page of all time. Everyone was spreading the Jeff Neal propaganda. It was the most beautiful thing known to man. But then, God damn, things happen. But this is the will of the universe. And, the world works in strange ways. They duped us out, having us think he was going to fight Vicente, made him get pneumonia, so he'd go right back to his daddy.
Yeah. Tell you what, we'll do, okay, instead of getting through all the fights and all that kind of stuff, why don't we do one more wrap up? This might be the last podcast of the year. So I'm going to go through. Tell me who holds the belts, all of them, at the end of 2024.
Ooh.
Hendrix, you go first.
Okay. So for strawweight and for flyweight, I think it's the same person, because Zhang Weili has been hinting at a fight with Grasso, and Grasso wants that fight too. And I think Zhang Weili is going to end 2024 as your strawweight champion and your flyweight champion. I think that's going to be fire. But for women's bantamweight, I think it's Raquel Pennington versus Bueno Silva for the vacant belt.
Yeah.
I think Bueno Silva is going to win that, and I think she'll probably defend her belt later in the year, which she will lose to, I hate to say this, God, I don't want to say it, but Juliana Pena will end the
Don't
year
say it.
bantamweight champion.
Yuck.
And then women's featherweight, it will be cut from the UFC. Men's flyweight, Pantoja is going to keep the belt all year. I'm sorry, it's just a spoiler. Men's featherweight, or no, bantamweight, my bad. Marab, as long as Sean O'Malley doesn't duck him, it should be Marab. Men's featherweight, Ilya Taporia is gonna pull it off. He's gonna end the year as your new featherweight champion. Let's go, baby.
Hendrix, I don't like you. I just don't like you. Bringing all this negativity to me. Sorry, do go on.
The UFC lightweight champion will be Bunny. Nah, I can't do it.
Oh,
Back your
But-
man.
It will, after he goes on an 8-fight win streak again, all in 1 year. It will be Benil Dariush. But in case that doesn't, it would probably be Islam. Let's be real. I mean, until Ben Santanis can get his title shot in 2020, he'll be there. But then for welterweight, Leon Edwards is keeping that belt for as long as he chooses at this point. Middleweight, this is a weird division to predict.
So weird.
I could say Dricus is going to keep it. Then Sean's going to put on a masterclass and do that. But even if Dricus beats him, all of a sudden Israel Adesanya is like, hey, I'm back now. I'm going to beat you now. I think based on everything I know and assuming Israel Adesanya does not come back 2024, I think Dricus du Plessis, as much as I hate to say it, is going to end the year as the middleweight champion. God, I hope. And God, you know what? Can we just like have lightning strike Sean and Dricus? I don't want either champion at this point in time.
Neither.
But light heavyweight is gonna be. Can Jamal Hill come back this year or next year? Yeah, you know what? I don't even care. He's gonna come in with a crutch and he's gonna beat up Alex Pereira with that crutch. I don't care. Jamal Hill's ending the year as your UFC light heavyweight champion. And then heavyweight champion, John Jones is going to defend against Stipe, retire, and Tom Aspinall will just get promoted to champion.
fantastic. I'm gonna have to go back and write all those down.
I just love the use of the word promoted too. You know, general manager's gone, so we need a guy. Tom Aspinall, your man. Love that. So there's actually some that I agree with you on. I swear to God though, if that dumbass Pena is champ, I'm gonna get a rope and I might just be swinging from it because that woman irks me.
Just get good and beat her.
Get good.
All right. I just need to lose a lot of weight. And not because I'm a chunky girl. I'm a tall girl. I'm a lot taller than most of these women, but we will see. I'll cut off a leg or something. I'll be the first, disabled fighter. I don't know. I think Bruno Silva is going to keep it because I don't think Pena is that great. I think she caught Amanda on a bad night, is what I'm going to say. Flyweight, I just kind of want to see what. I'm just going to be a bit goofy, but I think if somehow Alexa Grasso keeps his belt away from Shevchenko, I think Manon Furo, she's fun. She scares the shit out of me. I'm going to say her. I'm kind of just doing unserious ones for people that I basically want to have them. So we'll see how we go. Zhang Weili, obviously, she's an absolute monster. We'll go for men's flyweight. I think Pantoja keeps it. I was really thinking about Kai Kara France because I just think he's a little baby monster, but I don't know if he's like there yet. So I'm gonna stick with Pantoja, I think, for this one because I'm just not sure. I also agree. I think Merab, but like you say, is Sean gonna duck him? I don't know. Volkanovski, he'll have it, he'll die, and then someone else will get it. Lightweight, yeah, Islam's just gonna keep it and just be a dickhead until he dies too. There's no competition. Should I say someone silly for this one? No. I feel like I'm just saying the people that are it at the moment, but I'm finding it really hard to see who does it because Colby Covington was supposed to take the belt of Leon. Didn't fucking do it. I'm just getting mad. I think I'm tired. My bad. I'm gonna say Leon retains. God, like you said, God forbid that Sean Strickland or Duplessis have these damn belts. Unfortunately, I do think Duplessis is going to end the year as champ. But then again, I am thinking to myself, he's fighting for it in January. I don't think he can hold. I don't think he could hold it for 11 months. I just don't think he's that great. But then
Here, save us all. Come on.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Part of my silly little goofy brain was like, "Come on, Jared," but I didn't. I thought maybe you two would laugh at me, but I'm like, unless Robert Whittaker like comes back and just kind of avenges that loss. I mean, he's not going to, but a girl can dream. Alex Pereira, yeah, Alex Pereira. I don't really need to say much more than that. Although I would love a WWE-esque return from Jamal Hill with a crutch. I think that would be wonderful. I think if the merger's happened, let's get some more weird storylines in. Yeah, I think John fights Stipe, and then in this weird way, they're like, okay, so there's no title holder now. Here you go, Tom. And Tom absolutely smashes up the division because he's a legend. I kind of don't at the moment, like maybe it's because I can't quite see into the future as much, but I kind of feel like there's not too much movement because I'm not seeing like too many like crazy contenders at the moment. I mean, that could all change come like February, but right now I feel like a lot of them might be a bit, I was going to say stagnant. That seems a bit disrespectful, but like I don't think there's going to be too much movement at the moment. Someone could surprise me. I hope people surprise me. I hope Sean Strickland disappears and so does Duplessis. Is kind of what I'm hoping for.
I think as of right now, at the end of the year, I think we're just in a place where the divisions have they're winding down. They're kind of a little calm, but I think it's going to take till like maybe 297, 298, something like that. I think the divisions are about to like pick it back up, and these will be a lot better conversations about who the next champions are going to be.
Okay, so I'm going to start at so we have strawweight for women. It's just it's Zhang Wei Li, whatever. Okay. Then we get to flyweight, and it's going to be Aaron Blanchfield. Ooh. And I am telling you it is going to be Aaron Blanchfield. I'm not asking, I'm not suggesting. I am saying Aaron Blanchfield is going to smother everybody, and she's going to do it next year. And she's not going to struggle to wrestle probably anybody. And it's not like she's cheeks on the feet either. I think that Aaron Blanchfield is really going to tear them apart. In bantamweight, it's probably, I think Irene Aldana is going to like sprawl and brawl everybody, and either get knockouts or submissions just all the way up. I think that her boxing looks like an actual pro boxer. She takes a lot of like damage, but like her form is there. The infrastructure is there to get better, and I have seen movements in her getting better. So I think that Irene Aldana is probably going to be there, unless some random bantamweight chick just kind of steamrolls everything. Like you know what I mean? Because if there's somebody that's like half as good as Amanda just randomly, then they'll just get the belt. It's kind of wide open. Women's featherweight, I don't know, whatever. The men's flyweight, I think it's going to be Brandon Moreno, because he is the best at getting the belt. He's not the best at keeping the belt, but he's the best at getting the belt. I think that he just wants to relive over and over again the sensation of getting the belt, so he loses on purpose so that he can reclaim his gold. Brandon Moreno is going to beat Amir Albazi, because Amir Albazi shouldn't even be fighting him for this. And then he's going to fight probably Pantoja, and he's going to win this time, and it's going to be a great story. And last time somebody said, hey, but he lost to him before, so he's not going to win it, they were telling me that about Israel Adesanya. So bantamweight, it is going to be Merab Dvalishvili.
Nice.
Mr. Sean O'Malley is either going to duck until he get cut, he's going to move up, he's going to do something interesting. You know what I mean? I don't think not cut, stripped of the belt. I don't think that Sean O'Malley wants to fight Merab. And I'm basing this off of what our friend Aaron, who is like watches everything Sean O'Malley that he can, watches everything Tim Welsh that he can, and his opinion is that he's never going to fight Merab. So ultimately, I think that he's going to get away with this Cheeto thing, and then maybe he's going to move up or do something interesting that isn't hold the belt. Maybe he's going to box. Who knows? But either way, and obviously, if he fights Merab, I think Merab beats him. So all roads lead to Merab winning, in my mind. At featherweight, it's going to be Aljamain Sterling. No, it's going to be Volk. I don't like, maybe Volk wins 1 or 2 and then retires, and then we get like Ilya as champ. I think that Ilya is second best. I think that Ilya would probably beat Max. But I think more likely than not he loses to Volk. At where am I? Lightweight. It's gonna be Islam, probably. There's people that can do some stuff that have some sauce, but the best chance of anybody, in my opinion, is probably Oliveira, and Oliveira is like a 30% chance. You know what I mean? And then like Gaethje's like a 25, and then like Saryukian's like a 25. You know what I mean? It's just.
So you don't think Dan Hooker?
Listen. All right, so it's time for the 3-hour Dan Hooker tangent. No, I think that Dan Hooker is super sick. Does he have a fight booked?
I don't think he does.
No, but either way, he could get the rematch. He could maybe do something in the rematch against Islam. People forgot that happened.
Yeah.
Welterweight, it's going to be Leon Edwards. Moving on. I'm not even going to mention it. I did rewind to the beginning of the podcast if you want to know why. Middleweight is going to be one of 2 people. The first person is Khamzat Chimaev.
Ooh.
Khamzat Chimaev will beat. I am very confident that he beats Duplessis. I am very confident that he beats Sean Strickland. I don't know if he beats Jared Cannonier. I figure that he does. And the other person is Israel Adesanya.
Ooh.
I think that Israel Adesanya is like, oh, I'm going to take off until 2027 because I want this huge break. What he doesn't realize is that a huge break for Israel Adesanya is like 5 months. Because he is used to fighting like every 3 months. So I think that he will probably like want to get back in it pretty soon, and I do think that he beats anybody in the welterweight division, or in the I guess in the welterweight division, but in the middleweight division, maybe not Khamzat, maybe not the rematch with Strickland. If Strickland really has his number down, like really, which I don't even buy, and I don't even buy that Sean Strickland's going to be champ when he gets back. Light heavyweight, obviously it's going to be Jamal or Alex. I don't know who. I'm going to say for now, I'm going to say Jamal, because Pereira's mind works in a way where he wants to climb mountains, and once he gets to the top, he leaves. Like, you know what I mean? He, even in Glory, like, you know, he didn't defend his belt like a lot, or his second belt a lot, you know, and it seems like he just fought in his first belt in order to get the right for the second belt. And as soon as he got the right to challenge for the second belt, he got it. And then it wasn't that much. And then he lost to Izzy and immediately leaves. I feel like he just wants all these accomplishments one by one. And he doesn't really like see defending his title as that much of a new accomplishment. So I think that, you know, there's a possibility that he loses Jamal Hill, and there's also a possibility he just leaves. And then Jamal Hill fights, you know, Joe Beans for the title and then destroys him. So, and then heavyweight's going to be Aspinall. Even if Aspinall fights Jones, it's going to be Aspinall.
Yeah.
Easy.
Man, I'm kind of bummed that Emma didn't go full delusional and be like, featherweight is going to be Arnold Allen, and he's going to...
Oh, God.
Oh, I missed a trick. I should have just done, like, all UK fighters.
Paddy Pimblett's gonna beat Islam.
Shit. Let me redo. I want to
Yeah.
do a redo. Shit, I should have done that. Ugh. I'm mad now because that would have been so fun. Because I think people think that I only care about UK fighters, and I'm like, they're just more chill. And like we've said throughout this, I'm just kind of I vibe with the chill fighters, but alas.
People think I'm a simp. So whenever I said like men's bantamweight is going to be Juliana Pena, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like they're gonna have unified. But anyways, yeah, that was a great pod, everybody. Hendrix, where can they find you?
You can find me on TikTok at CEO.Hendrix. And now you can find me on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, at CEO_Hendrix, or is it Hendrix_CEO? I don't even remember. If you want to see someone rant about Benil Dariush through text, it's perfect for you. And you can find me on Instagram, just Hendrix Faye. All those links should be in the description below. Yeah.
I call it Twitter. Okay, go ahead, Emma. Where would we find you?
People can find me mostly on TikTok because it's where I live. Emma Bloody Porter. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok. I refuse to call it X. eBloodyP. And you can also find me on Across the Pond podcast, which I didn't really plug very well earlier, but you can also find me over there.
Yeah. You can find me here. But also, I just did an episode of Across the Pond right before, so you can see how all of my fantastic predictions came to fruition. If you wish, just skip the Tony Ferguson part. And I'm probably going to pick him next time anyways. But either way, you can find me here. You can find me at Guy Vega on TikTok. I have a Twitter or something. Who cares? And yeah. That's about it. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for having me.